All right, so we've just talked about Rip Van Winkle, and it was awesome, wasn't it? Wasn't Rip Van Winkle just a lot of fun? That folklore that we have in our American culture is such a great piece of literature. And now we're going to talk about William Cullen Bryant. So who is that? Who is William Cullen Bryant? Well, he started writing when he was just 17 years old, and his most famous poem, which we're not going to read, is called Thanatopsis. And, it's just this reflective and contemplative piece that just talks about nature and mortality and our human connection to the natural world. And he really focuses on the sublime and the beauty of nature. So what is the sublime? Well, it's that sort of fear and awe that you get from being in nature. Like later on in the term, you're going to go out into nature and you're going to sit there. And if you sit in nature long enough, you realize how small we are. If you've ever perhaps been to the beach in the summer and looked up at the stars, or if you're in the middle of a forest and you just take a moment to just soak it all in, you realize how small we are. And really, that is sort of the bottom line for William Cullen Bryant. It's like we are part of nature, nature is part of us, and there's a lot of unknown in nature, right? Nature works without our help. We think we're helping, right? We think I'm gonna plant this, I'm gonna help. Nature's been around a lot longer than we are. Like trees, for example. Trees, I just read this great book about the mother tree, and it's this one tree that communicates out through the root system to all the trees around it. And there's this woman, a forester, who's been doing this great advocacy work to get loggers not to cut down the mother tree. And you've seen the mother tree. It's that tree with all the roots, the ones above ground. Well, for as many as there are above ground, there's a whole lot below ground, right? And that mother tree, like, tells this tree to do this, and the fungus and the mushrooms all work together with the tree, with the root system, and there's all this communication going on under the soil that we don't know anything about. We think we're helping, but really we're hurting the environment, right? But the mother tree can help new trees grow faster. So if foresters don't cut down the mother trees and they let them stand, then the new saplings they plant will be more successful, right? So William Cullen Bryant's sort of tapping into that early environmental energy, right? Of the beauty of nature, our human connection to it, and the divinity of nature. He was also a journalist, did some editorial work, um, but he is known as one of the first romantics, right? So, other romantic writers that we're going to read, they talk about this reverence for nature, um, and his poetry is sort of the first instance of that really heavy focus on nature, right? So he explores nature as a spiritual and moral connection, right? And so he used the newspaper um, to advocate for social reform. He was against slavery, and he was very political, but he also wanted humans to get back to nature. So, emphasis on nature, and then this exploration of the sublime. The sublime is just this feeling of awe mixed with fear when you encounter the vastness and the power of nature. Um, and that really is, as we've said before, sort of the hallmark of Romanticism, isn't it? And then he talks about spirituality and philosophical themes. And sometimes the Romantics connect those two. Often they connect those two, philosophy and spirituality. So his contemplation of mortality and morality, the human condition, the end of the interconnectedness of life and death, you know, you know, the introspection and the exploration of the human experience. What is the human experience? What does that mean? What are we supposed to do here? What is our purpose? So, William Cullen Bryant is one of our, founders of the American Romantic period, and his works and his philosophies reflect on nature, our connection with nature, and the human condition. And so, I hope you enjoy reading To a Waterfowl. It's one of my favorite poems. It's not too complicated. I didn't want to start you off with something really, really difficult to understand, but really pay attention to the images that he's using in the poem and what the waterfowl represents. And I know if you're not an English or I don't want to say humanitarian, if you're not in the humanities, right? If you're not, one of like somebody like me who loves this kind of stuff, you have to think like, oh, what are symbols? What is that? Why can't it just be a poem? But, the waterfowl represents something, and it's going to be up to you to figure out what it actually represents. So, looking forward to our assignments this week, and I hope you enjoy the poem. See you soon.